this with my traveling beer can, as I mentioned last time, but I forgot to hit record on my camera. I only hit it on my phone, and I wasn't posting that because y'all did not want to stare at a still image of me with an audio going. My voice is not that good. I'm here today to do the Wizard of Oz book tag. This was co-created by Words of Clover and Bookworm Becca. I'll include links for both their channels and their videos for this down below in the description box. I'm going to jump right in and try to see if I can get all 16 prompts done in under the 12 minutes or whatever my camera will let me record for in a single session. I don't know how to turn that function off. The first one is Dorothy. Name a character who is out of their element. I'm going to pick Luke from The Deep by Nick Cutter. This is a veterinarian that goes into this super secret Area 51-esque underwater research station and a bunch of people die. And so I would argue he's very out of his depth there. 2 is Toto. Name your favorite pet or sidekick. This specifically was really hard for me. I do not pay attention to animals in books, I guess, because I could not think of one. I personally am not a pet person because I have allergies that make me very uncomfortable around most domestic animals. But I did think of one, and that's Dalin from the Foundation, the first book in the Collegium Chronicles series by Mercedes Lackey. And he is a telepathic horse, and I think that's all I really have to say, because he was a badass horse mentor to a human boy. Number 3 is Over the Rainbow. Name a book with a beautiful cover. I'm going to go with An Unkindness of Magicians. I dropped this on the floor because I dug it out from the shelf last time, and you don't have to see me do that again. As you can see, just this beautiful white, beautiful kind of just white and gray cover, lots of nature, beautiful kind of, but dead tree branches. It's just, I love it. It's gorgeous. It somewhat relates to the book. Not especially, but enough that it makes it, I feel justified in it. 4 is Yellow Brick Road. Name a book that took you on a journey. I'm going to pick The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and this took me on an emotional journey, simply because I really struggle with dealing with decisions and having, not even regrets, but the what if I had made a different decision somewhere in my life, how would that have played out? I mean, there are some decisions I stand by, including dumping my ex. 5 is Ruby Red Slippers. Pick an iconic bookish item. I'm actually going to pick my shirt for this. Oops, sorry. It says one more chapter several times, which is what I tell myself at 2 o'clock in the morning when I've been reading for way too late and I have to get up to work the next day. 6 is Scarecrow. Pick a book that made you think. I'm going with a nonfiction book this time. It is Ace, What Asexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex by Angela Chen. And I really liked it because it really gave me a lot of food for thought about romantic relationships, sexual relationships, and kind of what society expects of us and what we expect of each other because of society based on those things. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. 7 is The Tin Man. Name a book that gave you all the feels. I'm going to go with All the Light You Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I read that my first year I had the channel, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's one of the few books that has given me a book hangover, and honestly, anytime I pick up historical fiction, I think of that novel and the experience I had reading it, because I adored it. It was one of the best books I've ever read. 8, The Cowardly Lion. Name a character that seems tough on the outside, but is very kind on the inside. I'm going to go with Angel from Persephone Station. Angel's her code name. She's an ex-Space Marine. And she's just very awesome. And, I mean, that entire crew was amazing, but Angel was awesome unto herself. This is a recent release from back in January. The author is Stina Leaked, or Stina Leaked, however you say it. And I really highly recommend it for anybody that's looking for a kind of gritty space western with an eclectic cast. Prompt 9, Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh my! This is Pick a Spooky Book. I'm gonna go with The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This was just a very kind of creepy gothic school book. And the atmosphere just gave me the spooks occasionally. I wouldn't say it's terrifying, far from it, but it was really enjoyable. 10, The Emerald City. Pick your favorite book setting. This was a hard one for me. I thought that really I didn't have a favorite, but then I looked at what I've been reading recently, and it's either high fantasy, like the David Bod trilogy, which I'm almost done, or the iconic historical setting, like from the Four Winds, you go from the Dust Bowl to California, the land of milk and honey, and just those are probably my two absolute favorite ideas, is the high fantasy or that iconic history. 11, The Poppy Field. Pick a book that put you to sleep. For me, this was The Ghost Seer by Friedrich Schiller. I thought it was just like a short classic translated from German, but actually, it was a philosophical essay translated from German, and it took me forever to read, and I almost didn't finish it, and I almost cried at one point because it was just... I am not someone who feels too stupid to understand books, but I definitely felt too stupid to read that. Now I'll move on to 12, The Wicked Witch and the Flying Monkeys. Pick your favorite villain. For this, I went with The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood, and that, I mean, part of it is because it's a grimdark, so, like, there's, like, villains, and then there's, like, the minor villains. I enjoyed them all. Like, I loved all of the characters in that book. It was one of the book's strong suits, in my opinion. Anyways, it is also a more recent release, also very good. I will link my video where I did a vlog about reading this book somewhere in the description box or in the corner. 13, Glenda the Good Witch. Name a character that is very good. I picked Marianne from Edenbrook by Julie Donaldson. Although ultimately she wanted something for herself, she was just overall just a very sweet and kind and soft person, and I really enjoyed following her, and the Edenbrook story was just this very sweet and wholesome romance from Regency-ish era Britain. Super good read. 14, The Wizard of Oz. Pick a book that seemed impressive, but ended up being a letdown. And for me, that was Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahern. And I say that because, I mean, some people hated it, which is why I wanted to read it. And some people adored it. And it was on their favorite books of the year, which is why I wanted to read it. But in my personal opinion, it is a piece of shit book with a terrible premise, awful characters, even though one of them is a himbo. I complained about it a lot in my end of year videos for 2020 because it was a very recent read when I was filming those. And I'm going to stop there because of that. 15, The Man Behind the Curtain. Pick a book with a great twist. I'm going to go with The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I definitely had thought I had figured it out, and then I was in for a very pleasant surprise. It was one of the best mysteries I've ever read, and Stuart Turton just did a really amazing job with it. Which leads me to 16. There's No Place Like Home. Pick a book that feels like home and you always want to return to. And that one for me is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. As with Edenbrook, it is a wholesome and fun romance novel, but there is just something about Pride and Prejudice that just elevates it in my books, and I don't know what it is, but I love it, and I read it at least once a year, which means I'm due, and I have holidays coming up, so I can do it, and I'm super pumped. On that exciting note, I'm going to leave you guys here. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I will put the co-creators of this tag in the description box below. I'll probably include a link also for my video where I talk about The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood. The important stuff that you probably want is like way at the end where I review all of the books, but I'll put it there anyways. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.